monitoring and interpretation, and several other themes also eventually could be integrated or could be helped with this initiative of IT. One of the major outcomes that happened in the first Globinar was the idea of having a toolkit as a guiding document for our theme, as well as a document which would also help in providing some inputs into the policy document. So with continuing our dialogue and engagement with the inclusive stakeholders like yourself present today, we hope to discuss these further, take your inputs in the various subsessions that has been designed in thematic keynotes, the competition entries, the breakout rooms, which will give you an opportunity to discuss several of our sub-themes of capacity building networking, tools, techniques, as well as data management in much greater detail under our able moderators and panelists, as well as we have a whole session on networking, where you can also engage with our industry partners as well as one-on-one. I now hand over the floor to my co-anchor, Ms. Hyeseung Shim. Welcome everyone to this Globinar 2. Over to you, Hyeseung.
Thank you very much, Divay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session 1 of Globinar 2. And thank you once again for joining our event. My name is Hyeseung Shim, one of the co-anchors of this session. So what I would like to do before we get into plenary is we have a couple of rules to go over. As you may have already noticed that you can be muted. So we would like to ask that everyone stay muted. And also we'd like to ask you that you use your real name. So if you have a different name, you can click your name by selecting rename, and then you can change it. But please feel free to say hello through Zoom chat box below. And we are also going to use an interactive tool which is called the Mirror, and we are going to provide you the link to that. You can check the Zoom chat box. Of course, we'll show you a brief overview shortly later. And please be kind and courteous, and please kindly note that this webinar is being recorded. Okay, thank you very much. So you can see this slide how you can change your name. Just right side of this Zoom screen. Divay, and now I am over to you.
Thank you, Hyeseung. Thank you once again. The third co-host, Mr. Chen, was not able to attend, but I hope he'll be able to attend a little later. He had some prior engagement. But in any case, so moving forward, I would like to now invite Dr. Mario Santana to give his introductory remarks. Of course, Mario doesn't need any introduction, and I think he's well known. And so without any further ado, Mario, over to you.
Thank you, Divay, and thank you, Hyeseung. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be with you today, tonight, or in the early morning. For me, it's really late in the evening, but it's okay. So I would like to welcome you on behalf of our World Heritage Initiative, and especially in this theme of transformation and impacts of information technology. So our initiative is mobilizing citizens and professionals to renew and reinforce heritage protection for the next 50 years. The monthly debates of our World Heritage 2021 aim to raise general awareness about the significance of our natural and cultural World Heritage sites and about critical pressures that they are encountering from unsustainable development activities, climate change, and civil unrest, among others. This initiative aims to foster opportunities for the involvement of civil society in finding innovative, sustainable solutions. For further information, you can visit our website. We can put the link there. The transformation and impacts of information technologies open, as Divay said, with a Globinar on January the 9th. We had a 23 incredible hours marathon of information with about 120 speakers, 900 participants from all over the world. and we began building this great network of organizations, professionals, individuals. On February the 6th, 2021, we held our second event entitled Moving Forward, Innovative Tools and Unfold Stones in Our World Heritage. The main aim of this event was to announce the 9 shortlisted contestants out of 36 submissions for our competition. Later in the day, we will be announcing the winners of this competition. Today, our Globinar will occur around the world in basically five sessions. We hope to get your input and feedback during all these panel discussions on the 3 key toolkit elements: capacity building, monitoring and interpretation tools, and data management. Our aim is to develop a toolkit we can put in hands of heritage practitioners in order to harness information technology tools for a better future of our World Heritage sites. So on behalf of myself and our coordinator, Christina Cameron, and my co-convener, Haifa Abdulrahim, we recognize and appreciate the tireless work of many members of our team and welcome you to today's Globinar Session 1. So we're launching our work. We also invite each of you to get involved in all other activities and debates this year. We look forward to hearing your invaluable ideas and thoughts. So thank you so much, and back to you, Divay and Hyeseung.
Thank you very much for the wonderful, opening remark, Mario. Now, as I said before, I'd like to explain how to access the Miro board. Most of you have already, gotten an email asking to sign up Miro ahead of time. However, if any, hasn't signed up, you can still do right now. So you can see the, the URL link on this slide, miro.com sign up. So you can just, sign up at the moment. So when you sign up, please use your real name so that when you, leave a comment or, ask any questions, and we can just reply you directly. So I just want to, show you briefly how we can use Miro. So if you are new, to use this tool, maybe some, useful, function is quite helpful to know before we, go on. First thing is that if you want to, add a note using the sticky note, please simply click on the, icon, because we just click this icon in the, left side. And or you can type the letter N here, and you can pick up your favorite color, because you saw the different color on your left side, and you can start typing something here. And the second thing is that you can also add a comment by clicking this one, sticky note over here, and you can type the letter C. And this will allow you to open the conversation, and you can just reply to other people. And the third one is that if you want to the moving around between the selection, and you can click the pen icon. Yes, please, yeah, yes, or type V, so you can see the hand icon, so you can just moving around here. And the next thing is that if you see an arrow, so you can select, sticky note that you have just added. Yeah. And the last one important thing is that if you did something strange, and if you did something that you actually haven't, intend to do in this way, please, hit the Control Z for undoing, or if you see the button, this black arrow, in the upper part, left corner of the board, actually you can undo what you did, previously. So this is kind of simple, the function that you can use during the Miro board, putting your comments, etc. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. So now I'm going to move to the next our activities. So what is the next is the ice-breaking activities. Let's have a quick call for ice-breaking to know each other. First, please let me give you kind of quick ground rules. We are not going to post polling. We are going to post the polling link in the Zoom chat box. So can you kindly access the link? Now I think you can see. And please enter your name and click continue button. Then you will be ready to take part in our first poll. Okay, if you are ready, so we are going to start. Okay, let's have a quick sense that from where you are joining us. So we'll give you 1 minute to submit your answer. In 10 seconds, so please submit it if you haven't submitted yet. Okay, it's done. Okay, so China, Myanmar, Australia, yes, Indonesia, Shanghai. Okay, good. So now we are posting sometimes ice-breaking questions. This will be the which topic did you come to hear about or discuss today? So please give us 1 or 2 words. We are going to also give you 1 minute to submit your answer. Yes, we completed. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your active participation. We will be sharing this amazing collaborative work, through our social media later. Thank you very much. So we completed our, ice-breaking activity to get to know each other before we start, our next agenda. So we are going to, move on to our keynote speech. But before doing so, I would like to give you just one announcement. We have actually organized the unique, one-on-one network, networking data with the expert. So if you go to the, networking section of our Miro board, you can sign up for one-on-one, meeting at the beginning of this session. So click on this, calendar.com link and select your desired, expert, please. Then you will have a chance to meet them just one-on-one later. So this will be running first come and first serve basis. So please try to do it now if you want to really join this activity. Thank you very much. Divay, I'd like to over to this floor to you.
Thank you, Hyeseung, once again, and thank you, Mario, also to be taking pains in waking up till late and also addressing our session 1. It's always a pleasure to have you here, as well as the overall leadership that you provide to this initiative. Now, in the first part, we had two thematic keynote. The first one is on transboundary collaborations. Our speaker of the day is Dr. Fulong Chen, and I hope I got that right. Please excuse me if I'm not able to pronounce your name correctly. Dr. Chen is from HIST, and I know the path-breaking work that they are doing in using space technologies in documenting as well as monitoring several historic sites and World Heritage all over the world. But their work on the Silk Road, which runs through large part of the Asia, as well as all the way to Europe, cuts across several nations. They have been working on that collaborative projects for many years. So we hope that we will learn from them and hear from them on the aspects of collaborating on these transboundary heritage and world heritage, and how, what tools and what aspects and challenges and best practices that they have been able to create in these collaborations. So over to you, Dr. Chen.
I'm here. I'm from Chen. Yes. Thank you for your introduction. Today it's my honor to participate this session one. Actually, I would like to show my viewpoint about HIST, Transboundary Collaboration Platform for the Sustainable Conservation of our World Heritage. As the chairman introduced, I'm from HIST and also from the Aerospace Information Research Center, Chinese Academy of Science. Next slide. So this is the outline of my presentation. First is introduction of HIST. Then I would like to present two representative works we conduct. Finally, some viewpoints. Next slide, please. Next slide, okay. So what is HIST? Actually, HIST not here, please go up. Yes, thanks. HIST is the center hosted by the CAS, and absolutely it is a UNESCO research center. HIST is dedicated to promote, test, and demonstrate the application of space technologies for the conservation, management, and sustainable development of UNESCO sites. While HIST can be a transboundary international collecting platform, actually HIST has two advantages. The first one is that HIST primarily uses space technology, in particular remote sensing, to monitor, digitalize, and evaluate our World Heritage site. Space technology is beneficial for the transboundary observation and monitoring, such as the COVID-19 event. Even the site accessible is unavailable, but we can using the remote sensing to obtain the data and the information and see what's going on those invariable sites. Secondly, as a UNESCO Category 2 center, HIST facilitated transboundary collaboration between university research centers and even the companies to join us for the conservation of our World Heritage site. So next slide, please. Next slide. So after 10-year observation, we now have 5 research centers, and we have tens of researchers for projects, capacity building, and other things. Today, I would like to show you 2 representative works. The first one is the remote sensing monitoring and assessment of Silk Road, actually the route network of Chang'an Tianshan corridor. As we know, this linear world heritage has been inscribed into UNESCO World Heritage List in 2014. Now, 5 years have already passed. So what's going on for those sites along this linear heritage route? We need to using remote sensing to do the monitoring and assessment for them. So we have a cooperation with the Central Asia Studies, ICAS for short. We sign an MOU and then jointly conduct the project, try to meet the urgent demand for monitoring and protection of World Heritage sites along Central Asia. So in this project, we do the monitoring of 10 important sites in Central Asia. Please note that one of the sites named Koromen site is not included in this evaluation due to the lack of the remote sensing data. Next slide, please. So after the 1 year project, we made 2 achievements. The first achievement is that we made a preliminary intervention of 10 World Heritage sites, as well as their surrounding environment elements. The statistical data of the land use over the 10 World Heritage sites was obtained using the remote sensing classification. Next slide, please. And then we do the monitoring using the 2 observing period. The first period is 2014. The second one is 2020. So we do the monitoring of those 10 World Heritage sites sequentially. We then obtain the land cover change surrounding those sites. Take the current sites, for example. We found that the construction land increased from 7.9 in 2014 to 8.8% in 2019 due to the increase of the construction. Next slide, please. The second achievement is that we grasped the 5-year trend of those 10 World Heritage sites, and as well as their surrounding environmental elements. We found that the natural landscape around those sites changed a lot. In particular, we found that the land using and the land cover of forest, grassland, wetland, arable land has a mild decline, which is triggered by the increasement of bare land and construction land. So this study implies that the overall situation of ecological environment is worrisome. Emerging the challenge for ecological restoration and pressure on the sustainable conservation of those sites along the route. Next slide, please. So after the monitoring of this linear, very large scale linear heritage site, here we would like to move to another specific site, anchor site. Actually, anchor site is an entire ecosystem. It is well known for its hundreds of ancient monuments, such as the Angkor Wat Temple, as well as its cultural landscape that includes the Fulong Mountains in the north and the Tonisank Lake in the south. Due to the over-tourism in recent 10 years, its sustainability is facing challenges triggered by the deforestation, wildfires, land subsidence, as well as flood. Next slide, please. Thus, we propose a working roadmap for this project, in particular under the MOU between the ambassador and of Cambodia and Hyeseung of us, and then we kick off the RACE project, and we try to collect all kinds of remote sensing data, as well as other social data. After that, we implement the monitoring of forest, water system, land subsidence, and other ecological environmental factors. After that, we put all of those monitoring data into the spatial database, and then we do the 3D model of ancient monuments which have heritage significance. After that, we also make some recommendations for the sustainable development of this site. Next slide, please. So this slide shows us the monitoring results of land cover and land change around this site. From the 5-year monitoring, we found that the urbanization over the cultural landscape is evident, as the remote sensing highlight in the right. Next slide, please. And also we do the river system monitoring. We found that there is a close ties among the river systems as well as the infrastructure, such as the roads and the settlements. Next slide, please. Of course, there is quite an important issue linked to the land subsidence as well as this impact for the sustainability of those important monuments. Through this study, we found two important insights. The first one is that the seasonal variation of groundwater table in conjunction with the thermal expansion of temple materials are newly recognized contributing factor for the long-term deterioration of monuments. Second, we found that the over-tourism impacts the sustainability of cultural heritage sites because of the aggravated land subsidence and the confirmed decline of the groundwater table due to the over pumping. Next slide, please. Then we put all of the data, including remote sensing data and semantic maps, as well as the digitalization of most important temples. And then we can do the data management, as well as a demonstration, interpretation in the framework of GIS management system. Next slide, please. The most important is that nowadays we are talking about the sustainability development of the world heritage. So in the framework of big Earth data, including the social economic data, remote sensing, geology, hydrology, as well as the urbanization, now it is possible to do or develop some predictive models. So in this study, we have a model. We found that there is over-tourism phenomenon. And we also do the prediction. The prediction number said that the upper bound of tourism number per year should not exceed the 2.5 million per year. And we will also see that except for the fund imports, space technology can play an important role for the implementation of SDG 11.4, such as the case of the eco site we presented here. Next slide, please. Yes, there are other achievements because today we are talking about the information technology transformation impacts for World Heritage Site. So we make an achievement for the transboundary collaboration. The study conduct was showed here has obtained the praise from the government of Cambodia, and we also conduct several workshops for the training workshops, which is beneficial for the management of the local site. Next one, please. So finally, this is the viewpoint or perspective of mine. As I present, HIST is an international UNESCO research center focused on space technology for our world heritage. Actually, yes, using this platform, cooperation from all over the world is impossible. Was possible and potential. However, cooperation is based on the supporting from all over the world, such as the university and the research center, even the companies. So here I would like to make a declaration. We need your supporting whatever, such as the collaborative projects. If you need technology, please contact with us using email or other things. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Chen, for this very, very interesting and important presentation. And I'm very happy to know that you touched upon several interdisciplinary and overlapping aspects of using the technology for sustainable development, as well as highlighting the need for capacity building and the large amounts of data that you collect to manage that, and by demonstrating through real examples, both in China, Kazakhstan, as well as in Cambodia. And these go very well with our theme for the today. And I must also say that many times we forget that sustainability is now the key, and a lot of our efforts should be really looked through that criteria. Having said that, our next speaker, Dr. K. Van Damme, affiliated with Ghent University. He's friends of Scorta, as well as now friends with us as well. And Kay is actually a biologist, but I think his expertise on nature-culture linkages and relating to sustainability of World Heritage Site is exemplary, and we'll all look forward we look forward to hearing from him. So, okay, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Divay, and thank you everyone for the chance of giving a keynote here in this session in the wonderful Our World Heritage Initiative. So I would like to briefly introduce to you and talk to you about Socotra, a natural World Heritage Site in the Indian Ocean. And because on an island, everything's very closely linked together, it's a good case study and example to talk about nature-cultural linkages. Next slide, please. So Socotra, for those who don't know it yet, is an island in the Western Indian Ocean. It belongs to Yemen. If we think about Yemen, we think mostly about negative publicity related to the current conflict. But actually, Socotra is an integral part of the country, and it's mainly defined by an amazing biodiversity and a very unique culture. While Yemen is quite unstable at present, Socotra still continues to have tourists and still continues to have a focus on this biodiversity and the culture. So Socotra is originally actually part of Southern Arabia, and as the Gulf of Aden opened in the about, let's say, 20 million years ago, between 35 and 20 million years ago, Socotra split and moved as a small continental area with Africa. And therefore, it's actually an old continental part, which took with it, like a little raft, a lot of species, plant and animal species that were present in the region before the aridification of Arabia and Northern Africa. And it kept a huge amount of unique animals and plants. Next slide, please. So the landscape is very diverse, including granite, limestone, karstic areas like the Tsingy forest in Madagascar. It's very similar. And then some dunes. And so that it's very diverse in geology and therefore also in biodiversity. Next slide, please. Socotra has been designated as a natural World Heritage Site in 2008 for only criterion 10, so only for its natural values. And it has a higher number of unique plant species than the Galapagos, for example. So it's sometimes also called the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean. And one of the species you see here, which I also will talk about very briefly, is on the left, on the top, is the dragonblood tree, which is, there's a unique dragonblood tree species on Socotra. And then on the top right, there is this typical bottle trees, which is, they're very typical for the island. So there's more than 300 unique species of plants on the island and hundreds of unique animal species. Next slide, please. As we are talking about nature-culture linkages, Socotra has a indigenous population that is characterized by several cultural, let's say, by a strong cultural richness in the fact that people there are speaking a unique language, which is unwritten and which is it's called Socotri. It's a very ancient language. It's never been, it's only continued through oral tradition. And it's a very special language from a group of which most languages have gone extinct. And this language is actually connecting the people to their environment. The language is very rich for knowledge of plants, knowledge of nature, knowledge of landscape, and traditional rules of taking care of this area. So the indigenous people in Socotra have a huge ethnobotanical knowledge, for example. And in this example, I'm showing, it's an old picture of use of aloe. So this man is holding a goat skin in which he's selling aloe. And Socotra at some point was the largest center of aloe production probably in the world before aloe vera became a big, huge thing, which we all know in our cultures. Socotra was actually producing aloe in large amounts. In fact, if you look in very old manuals and books in pharmacies, there is a word socotrine, and socotrine is an old synonym of aloe, and this is because most of the aloe used to come from Socotra. So of course, the aloe on Socotra is also again unique species, but the fact that the people still use these plants continuously for their own purposes, for medicine, means that the culture-nature linkage is extremely strong on this island. Next slide, please. On the left, you see an example of an amazing book which contains all this ethnobotanical knowledge of Socotra together. It's a huge, huge book, and I wanted to show two other examples here. One is the Socotra dragon blood tree, where people extract this red resin, which is dragon's blood, and they still use it traditionally. It's in fact the only place in the world where dragon's blood is still used traditionally. It's used for different purposes. For example, it has also it can help for stomach issues. It's proven to have strong anti-cancer properties and things like that. And the other one is frankincense. There are more than 40% of all the frankincense tree species in the world are actually on Socotra, because this genus has undergone local radiation on Socotra, and so there's several unique species on the island. And as you know, frankincense is a very important, has been also historically a very important product, and Socotra has also been in the past a center for this product, as for the dragon blood, which you see on the left, in the middle, sorry. Dragon's blood from Socotra, for example, just to give a small anecdote, was so-called used to paint the Stradivarius violins in the typical red color. So there's this whole thing. Next slide, please. Yeah. So you see here the only remaining dragon blood tree forest in the entire world. So dragon blood trees used to be present, fossils were present in all over Europe, for example, in the Miocene, so several more than 50 million years ago. And there are still dragon blood trees, as you know, in Canary Islands and other places in the world. However, Socotra is the only place where there's still a dragon blood tree forest. It's nowhere else in the world where this ecosystem, which was widespread in a tropical belt throughout Europe and other places in the past, it's still there. And again, part of the fact that it's there has to do with the connection between culture and nature. However, as culture is changing on Socotra and has been changing in the last, especially in the last 100 years, also the effect on nature is tangible. Next slide, please. One of the effects, of course, is climate change. So if you see the picture I took in 1999 of this frankincense forest, and then there's a picture of 2017 of the same forest after huge cyclones, which were a result of El Nino in 2015, and then again in 2018. So you see the effects of climate change on these unique tree species. And on the right, there's a model to predict the disappearance of this population, which is the largest population of this species, with or without the cyclones. So without cyclones, extinction is predicted around 2068, and with cyclones, model is 2036. 2036. It's in 15 years. It's within my lifetime. It means we could watch species go extinct on this island if we don't act. The local people who are taking care of this place for centuries and who maintain it through their link with the language are very well aware of that. So they are actually guardians of the place, and they're also guiding and undertaking several initiatives to try and help perpetuate these ecosystems for the future. The climate change is not the only problem, of course, but climate change mostly reveals underlying problems in nature. It's mostly the shock to the system. Sometimes I compare it to COVID. If COVID itself is mostly not the lethal thing. It's the combination of factors of underlying issues that mostly are revealed by the shock to the system. And climate change is very similar to that. So, for example, in Socotra, there's a long term of goat grazing. At least for several centuries, goats have been on the island, and they have been increasing. And as there were very strong traditional rules of grazing before, which have now disintegrated in the last 70 years at least, the grazing has intensified, which means, for example, for these trees, as you can see in the picture, there's no young trees growing in these areas. This is because the goats eat everything. That means most of these populations, for example, of these trees, they are senescent, they are old, and therefore they have the seed bank and they have to survive this period. But if on top of that, climate change actually destroys them by huge storms, for example, then you have nothing left. There's no regeneration at all. And within a few decades, this area could become completely devoid of these plants, which also have huge cultural and symbolic meaning, not only for Socotra, but for the entire Arabia. Frankincense is a huge, just as an example, is a very important type of trees. Next slide, please. So, and there are also other, of course, other impacts, urbanization and population increase in several areas, increase of infrastructure, potential pollution of some areas. And on the left, you see from a recent study, density of road networks, and the red areas are areas which have least predicted impacts, and below is intensity of settlements. And again, red areas or pink areas are areas with least predicted impact. So it shows that most of the island is actually open to potential impact of deforestation, land use changes, etc. Next slide, please. So the local people, together with international groups and experts, are working together on, for example, replantations of trees. This is just one example. There's much more examples in other groups. There's also in animals and revival of the culture. But I wanted to focus on plants. This is an example of a dragonblood tree nursery. So you can see small dragonblood trees, which very easily grow in these conditions. So there's no limitation that is climatic. For growing the seeds, the limitation is just protecting them, in this case, from the goats, and then ensuring that they are safe from storms, for example. So the local communities start these initiatives mostly themselves, and then request for support, which through networking, several scientists are working together to support. Next slide, please. This I just came back from this place. So this picture was taken 10 days ago in one of the frankincense tree nurseries. This is a local woman called Mona. She has set up her own nursery for these frankincense trees, which she's growing, and from each local population will then be replanted with some protection against goats. And this is because people also have a cultural, not only cultural link with these frankincense trees, but it's also an income. Frankincense can be sold locally, but also, for example, they sell it to tourists, and there is for them also potential income of these things. This is part of a Franklinia project to help protect, save, and regenerate these trees. Next slide, please. So we've also installed these anti-goat individual fences to protect these young trees. which actually, so we build them, we send them there, and then they become the property of the local people. We don't take them back afterwards. So these fences become the people's local property, and they can use them after the tree is big enough. It takes 5 or 6 years for. Okay, thank you, Divay. Next slide, please. And finally, there's the final project I want to show is replantation of mangrove trees, which is actually started together with Haifa Abdul Halim, who is also co-convener of this of the IT session. And next slide, please. And here again, at the request of local communities working together, and their linkage to the cultural linkage to the mangrove trees. They have been replanting now in the North Coast these mangroves, and they're now growing really well. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide, please. So this is just to show nature culture linkages in an island as a case study for in general. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. And again, thanking you for bringing out very relevant aspects of our theme. And what really struck me was the nature culture linkages were essentially a part of intangible heritage, which I thought was very interesting because, again, many times we tend to focus a little bit more on the tangible aspects, but focusing on the intangible, I feel, is equally important, because that is what I think the knowledges of the communities and which really makes the place more sustainable. So thanking you once again, Kay, for that very, very important presentation. And I will hand over now to Hyeseung to continue with the session.
Yeah.